in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue.
True.
I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fight With Me Friday, where we're going to fight CPS, cope with trauma, and focus on self-care. Today, and my hair's, I just make it worse. Okay. Abort mission. So yesterday on the show, before we ended, I was talking about the relationships that we have with people in our lives. Being a diagnosed borderline, sometimes I have like other layers to it. Like I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, I deal with ADHD. It is what it is. And it's been a journey kind of learning more about myself and just how to work through, having those issues, because it's not a death sentence, but it can definitely push people away. One of the things that I sometimes, it's kind of like episodic. So one thing that I frequently deal with is like these depressive episodes that like just start off as just like regular, depression, but then it kind of escalates and I just keep going deeper and deeper because, one thing that I'm realizing is that like I'll feed into it, listening to music that's going to make me more sad. And, one thing leads to another. And then, before you know it, it's like a mental health crisis. So I'm starting to learn how to recognize those signs early. And having these issues isn't a death sentence. Like I said, it just means that, there's a couple extra things that you need to do. That's all. So I am going to play a video for you guys this morning about how to recognize the signs that you're having a mental breakdown, especially if you're dealing with a CPS case. Like you miss your kids, you're under an incredible amount of stress, and anything can trigger you into thinking about your children. And it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain for a human being to have to deal with. So one of the signs that I started to recognize was when I stopped eating. Like I physically just can't eat. So that's probably like one of the beginning signs. And then like not being able to feed my body, kind of affects my mood. And then it just kind of goes down and down from there. So let's go ahead and play that first video.
Hey, Psych2Goers. Have you ever found yourself in a period of intense mental distress? That's what a mental breakdown can feel like. Some experience it progressively, while others can feel it very suddenly. You may even find yourself unable to perform daily tasks due to the feeling of being so overwhelmed. So, here are 7 signs you may be having a mental breakdown. 1. Isolation. Do you find yourself constantly avoiding social gatherings? While wanting to be alone from time to time is perfectly normal, constant isolation may be a sign of a mental breakdown. According to Novotny, premature mortality is often associated with social isolation and loneliness. If you find yourself avoiding all social situations like spending time with your friends or even going to work, it may be time for you to reach out for some help. 2. Depressive symptoms. Do you find yourself losing interest in the things you used to enjoy? If you do, you may be developing symptoms of depression. Symptoms of depression are usually associated with loss of interest as well as the inability to carry out daily tasks. These signs can be indicative of a change in mood or that you are mentally overwhelmed, which could progressively lead to a mental breakdown. Number 3, absent-mindedness. Have you been really caught up in your thoughts lately? Mental distress can cause you to think a lot. A person on the verge of a mental breakdown can seem preoccupied, as if their mind is elsewhere. You may even look like you're silently staring blankly into an open space, which is actually commonly seen in adolescent breakdowns. 4. Unhealthy lifestyle changes. From sleep hygiene to eating habits, severe unhealthy lifestyle changes can be a sign of a mental breakdown. These can include suddenly sleeping really late, snacking too much, or not exercising because of a sudden loss of motivation. If you find yourself having sudden unhealthy lifestyle changes, you might want to check on your mental well-being. 5. Paranoia. Are you constantly worried that people are going to hurt you? Paranoia is a thought process that causes you to have irrational suspicion or mistrust of others. As paranoia is also known for having constant anxiety-related beliefs, developing symptoms of paranoia may indicate that you are under severe stress, which can lead to a mental breakdown. 6. Slowing down of speech. Have you responded with, "I don't know," or "I just don't feel right" when asked about your feelings? One of the earliest signs of a mental breakdown is changes in speech patterns, which can come in the form of hesitation or in the slowness of speech. This could be due to the emergence of intrusive thoughts or strong feelings you may find difficult to express. And 7, panic attacks. Mental breakdowns are periods of intense mental distress associated with anxiety and depression. Experiencing panic attacks may serve as a critical warning or precursor to having a mental breakdown. Do you relate to any of these signs? Let us know in the comments below. Remember.
Okay, so that was actually one of the shorter videos, but yeah, this one talks about how to recognize signs of a mental breakdown. And I remember the last one I had. Excuse me. Someone close to me that I had called for help, was trying to like figure out what was going on, and they were asking me all these questions. And, in the last part, when they say there's changes in speech patterns, I clearly remember, like, in my head, I had the answer, but like I got so frustrated because I couldn't articulate it. I was just so overwhelmed. Like I couldn't even speak, which made me even more frustrated. So here, let me pull this up. Something that helped. So one afternoon, I was still not okay from the day before. I was really overwhelmed. Like I noticed that like when I'm driving and like my hands are kind of shaking and I'm really impatient and I'm like, hurry up, just go. I just need to get there. Everybody on the road is just really irritating me. And of course, like I stay calm and I continue driving, but just being able to recognize that that's happening, that's another sign. So what happened was I met a good friend of mine, and her sister, and we were just going to hang out with our dogs for a little bit, at this one place. And, before she got there, because I didn't want to be bad company. Let me see, trying to multitask. So what I did was I called a hotline. So it's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline does more than just deal with suicides. They deal with, mental crises. They deal with, veterans. They deal with, I believe they deal with addiction as well. So the number for the suicide hotline is 800-273-8255. Again, the number is 800-273-8255. And we'll post that as well. But so what happened was, because on the drive there, I realized, okay, I'm still not okay. I'm about to meet a new person that I haven't met before. Let me just get myself mentally right. Like, I need to talk to a professional. And, of course, like your therapist, you can't just have your therapist on speed dial to answer your phone call, every time there's an issue. So just taking that initiative to, to make those steps on your own to get the help that you need is really important. And it shows that you really are making an effort. So I call the hotline. A lady picks up right away. And I was like, hey, I'm in a mental crisis right now. I need somebody to talk to me. I need someone to walk me through it. Because we're over here, we're outside at this place, and there's kids. And of course, like that, I don't always like to see people with their children because it sucks. It sucks, not being able to be with mine. And so this lady's talking to me. I kind of give her like a very brief synapse of everything going on in my life at this point. So I'm like, hey, this was my childhood briefly. This is what's happening with my kids. This is what's happening with my relationship. This is how I feel because of it. Like, for the love of God, someone please help me. So Bobby, not right now. So what she did was she walked me through a breathing technique called box breathing. So like first we just started breathing because I'm sitting here and like there's music in the background, and like the music is too loud. And then my friend's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, I think it's too loud. They need to turn it down. But I'm like, okay, Amanda, you're just being triggered by things. Like I'm overstimulated. I'm very sensitive because of the state that I was in. So we did a couple of exercises. The first one, we just like started breathing together. And then she added another assignment for me to do while I was breathing. And it was to draw a box and focus on nothing else but drawing that box with each breath. And so I did that a couple times. And then she's like, okay, how do you feel? And I'm like, I feel a little bit better, but I'm still like not quite there. So we did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 together. And she walked me through it. And it really, like, I was amazed. I was very impressed at how well it actually worked. Because when you're by yourself, sometimes until you like really get the hang of using these coping skills, it can be difficult to do it by yourself in the moment. So, calling a hotline like this with a trained professional who can help walk you through these activities is incredibly helpful. And it could potentially avoid something much worse happening if you leave this untreated. Because when you're having a mental breakdown, it's literally changing the way that your brain is producing those chemicals. And if you continue to just allow your brain to plummet to those points without doing anything about it, it could lead to more severe things later. So getting professional help is very, very, very important. So I decided with the move and everything, like I was paying for this one medication out of pocket because it was so new. And it's a lot of my stuff got lost in the move. So I was without medication for a couple months, and I realized, oh my gosh, no, at least for right now, I'm going to need a little bit more help. So, met with my psychiatrist. So we're getting back on that. And yeah, I look forward to it, and I will share my experience with you guys. as we do these Friday shows, since mental health is what it's about, I want to help end the stigma against people with mental health issues, especially if you had your flesh and blood, like the very air you breathe, torn away from you by the people who are supposed to serve and protect us. That in itself is such severe trauma. And you're going to have to be able to, you're going to have to find a way to work through that, because our children, they need us to be strong. They need us to be healthy. And they need us to fight for them. Like even right now, it's toward the end of the semester. So I've been cramming, trying to keep up with my classes and trying to keep up with my work and everything else and my mental health. I started running every morning for a little while. And it helped a little bit, but I still had another breakdown, and I still don't know exactly what causes them, but I'm in therapy. We're working very hard to, get to the bottom of these issues. And I do enjoy my therapist. It took several tries to find a good one. So, that'll be exciting. Another thing I want to share with you guys, and this is pretty crazy. So, when I get really depressed, one of my biggest weaknesses is that I want to start drinking. Not a good idea. Not ever a good idea. So she had me call this one treatment place in in a nearby city. So I call them and I'm like, hey, this is my schedule. Like, I'm not going to be able to do inpatient. She's like, that's fine. We have outpatient. And so we just get to talking and I'm like, okay, but here's also my problem. Like, I know I don't mix well with alcohol when I'm like in those moods, but I'm not an everyday drinker. And every time I drink, I don't always, drink to that point. But when it does happen, it's pretty intense. Like, it's not good. But I said, well, here's the problem though. I don't want to stop. And she was like, that's okay. We can help with that. And then she proceeds to tell me, and this blew my mind. I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's a shot that you can get once a month to not drink anymore. Like, you just once a month, go get a shot. You can't drink. There's 2 different types of them. And I'm very seriously considering it. I had my friend that I had mentioned before. My dog is scratching at the door. I'm not getting up this time. He just wants my attention. He just went out. So my friend that I was mentioning before, she has another friend who's a pharmacist. So she calls her friend and asks her, and she's like, yeah, there's 2 different kinds. People love it. They come in all the time. And ironically also, this same shot works very well for opiate addicts. Not that I've never had an issue with that. Thank God. But for those of you that may look into, ask your doctor about the shot. It's once a month, and it will physically prevent you from not being able to, to use alcohol or opiates. So that's exciting. Well, for me, it's kind of exciting. If you do try to use either one of those things while you're on this shot, you will get very, very sick. So it'll probably, I remember the lady was saying, if you want to keep trying to drink, it'll probably take you like 1 try before you realize it's not worth it. And I said, okay. So let's go into the second video that's going to teach us about box breathing.
There are times when we all experience feelings of stress or anxiety. In these moments, you can use your breath to help calm those feelings. Box breathing is a simple relaxation technique that can help you reset your breath and return to its normal rhythm. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Box breathing can help reduce stress and improve mood. It can also help with controlling and managing emotions. It's very easy to learn. Imagine breathing around a box. Inhale as you visualize going up one side of the box, gradually filling your lungs with air. When you reach the top, hold your breath for 1 to 5 seconds as you picture going across the top of the box. Exhale gradually as you imagine traveling down the other side of the box. Pause again for 1 to 5 seconds as you go along the bottom of the box. Then repeat. This can be done 7 to 10 times in a row, focusing on the breath. If you can do it sitting down with your feet grounded, that will help too. But really, it can be done anywhere. Box breathing has physiological and psychological benefits. Physiologically, it regulates breath, increases oxygen to the lungs, and can help reduce blood pressure and lower heart rate. Box breathing can help psychologically by providing focus to your breath and removing attention from the things that are causing feelings of stress and anxiety. The repetition of box breathing can also help reduce stress. So, in moments when feelings of stress and anxiety are overwhelming, remember box breathing and the power of your breath as a simple way to relax and breathe a bit easier.
Okay, so that was the video on box breathing. That was the very first exercise that she had me do. Guys, I'm sorry, I got like these baby hairs that are sticking out. So she said when I was doing this, focus on nothing else besides drawing that box. Like nothing else that was going on around me, like block everything out and just picture that box. And that's what I did. And it was very helpful. And then after we did the grounding thing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that, you know, after like the box breathing helped me to, like calm down initially. And like, you know, those intense emotions started to kind of like fade away. But I still wasn't present yet. So the second one, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that was very, very helpful. And that brought me back to the present. And then, you know, by that time, my friend's dog had gotten through the fence. And she was like, Amanda, come help me. So I was like, I'm sorry, lady, thank you, but I gotta go. And it was, I'm glad that I called and I'm glad that I had that experience. So, you know, next time I'm dealing with overwhelming emotions like that, I will be calling the hotline number, you know, if there's nobody else that I can talk to. So just something good to keep in mind. Now we do have one more video. Let's go ahead and play that.
You get when you're anxious or scared or angry, and you can feel your body start to spiral out of control, almost like you're falling out of a plane without a parachute. Well, stick around because I want to tell you about the built-in emotional parachute that your body has and how you can deploy it whenever you feel the need. This video is sponsored by BetterHelp, where you can get professional, affordable online counseling for around $65 a week. So check out the link in the description for 10% off your first month. I'm Emma McAdam. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and in today's episode, I want to talk to you about your body's natural and trainable counteracting response to the fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, hopefully you've seen my video on the fight, flight, or freeze response. It was actually the first video I ever made for this channel. And in that video, I explained that those fight, flight, freeze reactions are the body's natural stress response, and how anxiety isn't just in our mind, but it's also very much manifested in our body. Now, there are a lot of things you can do to help pull yourself out of the fight, flight, freeze response. But in this video, I'm just going to cover 4 simple ways that I feel work best to calm you down and to soothe that anxiety response. So in this video, we're going to cover deep breathing and vagal tone, peripheral vision and softening the eyes, the Valsalva maneuver, and the yawn. But first, let's talk about a little biology for context. So our bodies have what's called the autonomic nervous system. This part of our nervous system automatically regulates breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, and a whole bunch of other stuff. When we experience a stressful situation, the autonomic nervous system kicks on that fight, flight, freeze response, which is also known as the sympathetic response. This response is automatic, and it controls how much cortisol and adrenaline are released into our system. It increases our blood pressure and our breathing rate. Your hands may start to sweat, your stomach may clench up, or your voice may start to shake just a little bit. These are the physical manifestations of anxiety. However, our brilliant, wise, beautiful body has a counterbalancing force called the parasympathetic response. And that's para as in parachute. And this is the body's natural way of slowing down and creating a sense of calm and safety. So it works like this. If your brain thinks that you're in a dangerous situation, whether that's a tiger attacking you or just public speaking, your body may trigger the fight, flight, freeze response. But when the dangerous situation is resolved and your brain knows that you're safe, your body then triggers this parasympathetic response, which is also sometimes called rest and digest. It's called this because as your body starts to relax and transition from that fight, flight, freeze response, other systems in your body which had temporarily been switched off, like digestion, these come back online and they start functioning normally again. So your breathing automatically slows down, your immune system turns back on, and you're able to relax, calm down, and your body has time to heal. Now, this is how your body naturally transitions between these two states. And as I've said, it's all automatic, so it may feel like this is all out of your control. But with some training, you can actually teach yourself to kick on that parasympathetic response. And to do that, you first need to know about your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the autonomic nervous system, and this nerve does two really important things. So first, it can trigger that parasympathetic response that we want, and second, it transmits signals in both directions. So that means it can send information from your brain to your body about whether to be stressed or calm, and then it sends information from your body to your brain about whether to be stressed or calm. So when we practice these bodily calming techniques, we actually send a message along the vagus nerve from our body to our brain saying that things are okay, that we're safe. And that in turn calms our stress and our anxiety. So now let's go over these 4 body calming techniques that will help you send these calming signals from your body to your brain and better help you regulate your emotions in stressful situations. So first, let's talk about vagal tone. Vagal tone is a measure of how strong your parasympathetic response is. It indicates how good your autonomic nervous system is at calming down. And just like muscle tone in your arm would indicate how much you exercise your arm, vagal tone is a measure of how much you use your parasympathetic nervous system and how strong it is. So to start, first I'm going to just show you how to feel your vagal tone, and you'll be doing this by noticing your heart rate variability. So first, find your pulse on your wrist, or if you hold really still, you should be able to feel your heart beating. Now close your eyes so you can focus, and breathe in and breathe out very slowly. And pay attention to what happens to your heart rate when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Okay, did you notice that? When you breathe in, your heart rate increases, and when you breathe out slowly, your heart slows down. That is heart rate variability. For people who have a stronger vagal tone, their heart rate slows down even more on the out-breath than people who have a weaker vagal tone. And just like exercising your arm muscles, you can exercise with deep breathing to strengthen your vagal tone. Higher vagal tone is associated with better general health. It leads to better blood sugar regulation, better heart health, improved digestion, and a reduction in migraines. Most importantly, it improves emotional stability and resilience. Lower vagal tone is associated with mood instability, depression, PTSD, diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, cognitive impairment, and inflammation. So you've probably heard that deep breathing helps with stress and anxiety, and this is why. Deep, slow breathing helps to increase your vagal tone and trigger that parasympathetic response through the vagus nerve. You may feel yourself relax when you do it. You may notice that you start to salivate, or that your eyes may soften. And that's all thanks to how deep breathing and vagal tone affect that vagus nerve. So practicing deep breathing, and especially those long, slow out breaths, can help you soothe that stress response. And it can train your body to be better at kicking on that calming parasympathetic response. So deep breathing is a really helpful skill for people with anxiety disorders and PTSD. So I just mentioned that your eyes soften when you do deep breaths. I don't mean that they become squishy or something like that, but rather that they lose focus on any one particular thing. They relax and your focus shifts from a specific visual point to more of your peripheral vision and everything around you. So you've likely experienced eye softening when you've been lost in thought or daydreaming. So your eyes are open, but they're not really looking at anything. And this is what I mean when I say your eyes soften. Now, these nerves here, 3 and 7 from the parasympathetic system, these control our eyes. You've maybe heard of the term tunnel vision, right? That's where your vision seems to get really narrow when you're stressed. And again, your brain is sending signals along that vagus nerve to get into that fight, flight, freeze response. I've only really noticed tunnel vision happen to me once. I was rock climbing up a scary route, and there was a high risk of a fall, and I came to this one spot on the route, and I was, gripping the holds of the rock as tightly as I could, and I was looking for the next hold to keep moving, and I was really nervous. My arms were just like shaking, I was running out of strength, and I was just looking like so hard as I could, but I just couldn't see any holds. And I'm about to fall, and just then my belayer yells up to me that there's this huge hold, just basically right in front of my eyes. And yep, there it was. It was like right there. But because I was feeling nervous and my body was getting all stressed out, it's like it shut down my ability to see around me. Well, it turns out that tunnel vision is a sympathetic response. And again, that's part of the fight, flight, freeze. And when we soften our eyes, we can trigger a parasympathetic response, meaning we can use our body to send signals up the vagus nerve to the brain and tell it to calm down. Now, Buddhists and yogis have known and practiced this for centuries. So here's the second way to trigger that parasympathetic response. So start by softening the muscles around your eyes. So if you don't know how to consciously do that, you can start by squeezing them shut and then consciously relaxing them to gain more awareness. Or you can just gently touch the side of your eyes right here. You can gently close your eyes and then open them really softly. Try to expand your awareness out to the sides of your vision while keeping your eyeballs straight ahead. So you can keep looking at this screen, but then just start to notice what's out to the side here. And using that peripheral vision is a way to trigger that calming parasympathetic response. Okay, a third way to calm anxiety is to increase the pressure in your chest cavity. This is called the Valsalva maneuver. My 5-year-old would love this because she loves potty talk. But basically, you're going to bear down as if you're pooping. Or you can plug your nose and close your mouth and push out as if you're going to exhale or like you're going to, stifle a sneeze. So it's just kind of like this. The vagus nerve actually comes into contact with your pelvic floor. And you maybe have seen this when someone's mad. They're like that, when someone breathes like that. And what they're doing is they're subconsciously increasing that pressure in their chest and then letting it out. But you can also practice this by, bearing down. When paramedics are working with someone who has tachycardia, so that's like a fast heartbeat, they'll often tell them to bear down because this triggers the heart to slow down. So bearing down is another way to stimulate that nerve and to send signals to your brain to calm down, to trigger that parasympathetic response. So try breathing in for 5 seconds. Then hold it and bear down for 5 seconds. Now you don't need to push hard, you just need to create a little pressure in your chest. And then finally breathe out for 5 seconds. And do this once or twice in a row, breathing regularly in between so you don't get lightheaded. And this can help trigger that vagus nerve. Now finally, the fourth action to trigger that vagus nerve is to yawn. So my favorite way to do this is to make the R sound. Open your mouth really big and try to lift your soft palate in the back of the roof of your mouth. There's a decent chance that this is going to make you yawn. Or you can even try a fake yawn to trigger that response. This action makes me sleepy and relaxed almost every time. You may have seen this reaction in your fur babies. Have you ever noticed how if a dog gets like super hyper, they'll start doing these huge dog yawns as they calm down? My dog Geneva used to do this all the time in the car. She loved car trips. So she would get super excited about the car, and then she'd be in the car and she would start to do these big yawns. Like that. And you know how yawns are contagious? Well, that's because yawning is actually a herd behavior. These contagious yawns keep the pack from going wild with excitement. These yawns send a message between dogs to each of these animals' vagus nerves to say, you know, chill out, calm down, you're okay. So those are the 4 quick ways to trigger the parasympathetic response. But there are a bunch of other techniques you can try, so watch for part 2 of this video. If you've tried these techniques before, or if you have others that have worked for you, leave them down below in a comment. I'd love to know about them. I hope you found this video helpful. Learning to turn on that parasympathetic response could be a great skill to have when dealing with anxiety disorders, PTSD, depression, and stress. Also, if you know someone who could benefit from these skills, please share this video and give it a like so that others can find this content. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about how to ground your mind and body, check out my online courses. In my free grounding skills course, I teach about 25 skills to ground the nervous system and to develop a stronger nervous system regulation. And in my coping skills and self-care course, I teach dozens of ways to cope with intense emotions. The links are in the description. Thank you for watching and take care.
Okay guys, so that was a really cool video. I really like her. She was pretty cool. So she's a climber. I could have known that, you know, from the first time I saw her. She's definitely like got the build. But my brothers are like huge climbers, a couple of them. And we used to go on trips together. I'm belay certified. So if you caught that part of the video where she was like, I looked down at my belayer. So she's actually climbing on like legitimate rocks. Like, so she's outdoor climbing. And what you do is you have your harness on, and there are like special knots that you have to do, you know, on your harness as well as on what they're holding. And like, my brothers have what's called like a gree. So it's like, it kind of auto belays for you. So you don't have to like constantly like, hey, you know, but it can be very dangerous, and climbing outdoors like that takes a lot of trust. I mean, you are hundreds of feet above the ground, sometimes thousands. Here, let's see. Leah says, don't let CPS make you crazy. They count on it. Yes. Amen. Stay strong. God bless you all. It's been 5 years for us and still going. Leah, I am so sorry that it has dragged out this long. I've been dealing with this for going on 7 years now. So I definitely understand. And I'm just like, when is it ever going to be over? But the amount of trust that you have to put in the person who is on the ground while you're up on these rocks is incredible. They have to pay attention to your every move. There has to be constant communication. And, you know, we're going to do a shorter show today because I don't have a guest this morning, but that kind of brings me back to what I wanted to kind of talk about today. You know, besides us learning coping skills to help us get through these very difficult times in our life. I want to, like, I had a moment yesterday when I was talking with my supervisor, and I was also talking on the phone with one of my utility companies, and me and this lady just ended up having such a deep conversation. It was really amazing. And I realized in that moment, and it was kind of a major moment for me, because I've always seen myself as separate from the people around me. Like there's something different about me. They're just, that connect has never been there, even with people who are really close in my life. You know, I just, deep down, I feel like, you know, I'd be better off not, like, truly allowing that connection to be like too real, because something's going to happen and they're going to just leave my life anyway. You know, and that's the anxiety talking. That's the abandonment issues talking. So, and I can feel it even right now as I'm speaking. I also had some people from this new church, you know, they came in, we did like a Bible reading together. I was nervous at first. I wanted to cancel, but then I said, you know what, Amanda, this is going to be good for you. Just, you know, let them over and just be genuine, you know, just genuinely connect with the people around you. And for the past few days, I've really been doing that. And I feel so much more fulfilled, because I know now that, yes, even though things happen in life, people are subject to change. People will sometimes leave you, you know, and just because you feel one way towards somebody doesn't mean they feel the same way back. So, like, accepting those things helps you love others unconditionally. But, you know, I'm thinking about all of the people who are in my life right now that I know, whether it's, you know, friends or, you know, the love of my life or whatever. Just thinking about how much I care about those people and how much I genuinely want what's best for them, and knowing that they want the same. You know, there is so much evil in this world. There really is. But there is also so much good. So my goal for this next week, until I talk to you guys again, is to really invest in these relationships that I have in my life and all around me. And, you know, I'm going to make it a point to be open and honest and genuine, you know, not necessarily trauma dumping, but just like being more aware of the social situations that I find myself in. You know, like what is the energy of the conversation? Where is it going? You know, what is their personality of the person that you're talking to? You know, what would make them happy? What would make them uncomfortable? And just like, I'm trying to teach myself how to read the room better, and just be in the moment and interact with these people. You know, and I know so many amazing, incredible people, and I'm so grateful to have them, including my little fur baby over here who won't stop bugging me. He's got to go outside. But really, I just wanted to leave that with you guys, and I hope that video was helpful. I was doing the exercises along with her, and they definitely make a difference. So, you know, come back to this video if you need to learn more coping skills. I have got some more studying to get back to, cramming still. But other than that, I am going to spend this day. I don't have any clients. I don't have anywhere to race to be. Maybe I'll run a couple of errands, but yeah, I will be relaxing for the rest of my day today. And I wish all of you guys a wonderful day. Keep your head up. Practice these coping skills. Don't leave these, you know, these episodes untreated. If you need extra help, if you're struggling with addiction of any type, please go seek out help. There are ways that you can get help without checking yourself in somewhere. So with that, I wish you guys a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on Monday for CPS current events. All right. Thanks, everyone.